Hello, I am LaWanna Bradford, and welcome to another edition of Choose to Challenge. I am so excited because this month is what? It is the month of love. Yes, it is February, and it is also Black History Month. But this episode, we want to talk about what it means to love and embrace yourself. We want to sort of unpackage some misconceptions that individuals have, especially women, when it comes to this month and some of the stressors that women feel. So stay tuned for this special edition of Mindset Alchemy, and I'll be back with my co-host, none other than Constance, Connie Wills. Hello, Connie. How's it going?
It is going wonderful over here. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited because Mindset Alchemy, we come on Choose to Challenge, the first Monday of every month. Can you believe we're already in February?
No, I can't. This year is flying by, but time is flying so fast, but it's exciting. I'm waiting for exciting things to come.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what we have for our audience today?
So today we are going to talk about the month of love, a little bit about that love, beyond the roses, women, love, and self-worth. And us ladies, we can definitely relate to our feelings and our mindset around Valentine's Day, Valentine's month, the month of February in general. But we have such mindsets. We have things ingrained in our mind that we need to discuss and sort of dispel, sort of tear apart. That's what we're going to do today a little bit.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it, and we will be right back. So grab your popcorn, call your friends, get ready for something special. We'll be right back. Well, we're back. It's all about love. Take it away, Connie. What do you have to say about
love, y'all? See, I've been working on my heart anyway, and I think it's better now. All about love, y'all. So, beyond the roses, women, love, and self-worth. What does that mean? Is it just a phrase? Do we as women really think about love and self-worth? Do we really think about that? Especially during the month of February, do we think about ourselves and our self-worth during this month? Or do we think about the commercialization of Valentine's Day, quote unquote, love, and what that has done to us as individuals and as the community as a whole? How does that make us as women feel? Do many of us feel lower self-worth during this month because maybe we don't have what they call a Valentine? Maybe we don't have somebody to send us the roses, the flowers, the chocolate, that stuff. Maybe we don't have somebody to take us to dinner where we dress up in our red dress. How does that impact our self-worth? What do you think about that, LaWanna?
Yeah, I love those questions. And, I was thinking about the time, in my life, especially after my divorce. It's one thing when you're in a relationship of any type, there you do succumb to the pressure, I think, of Valentine's Day. And I think about in the workplace, especially, right, where people are getting their flowers and things delivered, and you're thinking, what about me? And when you're not in a relationship, at least this was for me, everyone may not feel this way, but especially when after my divorce, I started to feel more stress around it. Like, okay, I should be doing something. I should be going out. And there wasn't that relationship to invite me to this romantic dinner. And all of the stuff that was there, and I found that I was actually stressing out unnecessarily because I had placed on myself the prescription of what this Valentine's Day, this celebration of love, was really all about. And later, as I matured and started to heal from my divorce, it was comical because I thought I allowed one day, the pending day, to get me so stressed that literally the first half of my month was miserable. But when we go back to the comment here, women, love, and self-worth, when you can love yourself, are you really going to let one day derail you for a few days a month? Or maybe sometimes people allow the lack of having that companion to derail them for a year or years at a time. And I think it is important to realize that when we can just really embrace and love who we are in all of our faults, all of our flaws, it becomes attractive. And then what you want, I believe, begins to gravitate towards you. But when you can't even look at yourself in the mirror and just say, you know what, it doesn't. I'll buy myself flowers. I'll take myself out to dinner. If you're unable to do that, then are we wrong in expecting just someone to show up and do that for us? I don't know. What do you think, Connie?
That is so true, LaWanna. I tell you, now I've never been married. So that's a fact y'all know about me now. I've never been married. However, that has been such a prison for me, not having allegedly that love that a quote unquote marriage brings. But I'm going to take it back. So even in elementary school, most of us are of a certain age where we remember where we had Valentine parties in our classrooms, and we were giving each other Valentine cards and gifts. And I can remember even back second, third, fourth grade, how I would feel anxiety over that day because, of course, little boys like little girls, vice versa. But I didn't feel they liked me, right? So that was already projecting that out there. But I would have my little envelope in front of my desk, and I would watch the little popular girls. They would get so many Valentines. Their envelope would be stuffed, just pouring over. And I might get a few. I mean, some of them were probably pity Valentine cards, or the kids that weren't popular like I wasn't, we would get a few, but that impacted my self-worth. And it's not fair. I want to say it's not fair, but that's not the right word. It's a shame that we allow the societal norms to even impact us at that age. So I allowed that to impact me back then. I didn't know how. I wasn't going to. I was a child. But moving forward as an adult, that mindset stayed with me. So Valentine, that month, the month of February, was always pressured for me as well. It was pressured because if I was dating somebody, yeah, we might exchange Valentines and go out to dinner. But if I wasn't, which was more times than not, I felt the pressure of being alone. I remember my parents sometimes sending chocolate and flowers and candy to the house, and I thought that was very sweet. My dad would sometimes get me gifts, give me gold, whatever. It was very sweet, but it still wasn't the same because society said we should have that special somebody. It wasn't the same. So it's just the mindset that's around this whole holiday. And now that I know I love myself and my self-worth is through the ceiling, I love me. So it doesn't affect me like it did. But I can tell you most of my adult life, I was in a suffering state of mind during the month of February. And I would look forward to that month hoping, and this is crazy, to hope I have a relationship that month so I could have a Valentine. And that's just a crazy way to think about it. But that's how my mind had spun it. It's how it twisted it. My mind wasn't thinking about Constance. Connie, do you love yourself? Love yourself enough. If you want to go out to dinner, just like LaWanna said, take yourself to dinner. Buy yourself flowers. Give yourself chocolate. Do all those things. Give yourself a spa day. Do things to love on you that day. My mind wasn't there. So we're gonna tear down that myth, the myth around Valentine's Day. What do you think, LaWanna?
There's something that you said that actually is really profound, and I don't know if you've thought about it this way, and maybe you have now. but you said what your expectation was, right? But you weren't in a marriage at time. I mean, you weren't in a marriage at all. And then you may or may not have been in a relationship. And you mentioned that your dad would send you chocolates or gold jewelry. And when I listened to you saying that, I thought, wow, your father is your first love as a daughter. And he loved you enough to be so sensitive to where you were to show you how precious you were to him. I mean, that to me is like creating a standard, right? So it's like, okay, if I'm going to find a man, whatever he may be doing out of his busy schedule, he's going to take notice of me, not just on Valentine's Day. That's one day. But every day I'm going to feel special. And he in turn will feel special, right? So I was just, when you were saying it, I was just smiling and thinking, what a beautiful love journey with your dad. Yes. That's priceless.
Absolutely. I remember those times. And of course, the card would be from mom and dad. But I know that, I mean, just being it from dad, that was like, that's my dad. But we would get roses, chocolates. I think a few years we got some of the fruit and things like that. So that meant so much to me. I think even one year they sent it to my job because people, like you said, they would always get those cards and roses. And I'd be like, they would call over the intercom, so-and-so come up to the front. And you knew they were running up to the front to get their Valentines. And I would just be like, okay, take deep breaths, Connie. It's okay. It's okay. But I would get that sometime and I'd be like, yes. And the crazy part is I knew it was from my dad and mom, but I didn't tell nobody. I was like, look, I'm walking back with my flowers.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Really, I'm like, yeah, I got flowers too. But that is so meaningful. And I do agree with that. Us as women, our first love should really be, as far as males go, our father. It should be our father. And I'm talking about our natural father, but it should be our father if we have that in our life. Or some male that is in authority in our life. It could be an uncle, it could be a grandfather, it's anything like that. But that really should be, when we're girls, when we're little girls, that should be part of what we experience. Because that actually does help your self-love, self-worth. That really does. I agree with that.
You also said something else. So I want to ask our listening audience. I'm here with my co-host, Connie Wills, and we are here for Mindset Alchemy. And we're talking about Beyond the Roses, women, love, and self-worth, and how to get over the stigma, the commercialization of Valentine's and the feeling of stress that, oh my gosh, I don't have anyone. You mentioned that you, as the month was getting close, you were praying that you would have a relationship. It's like, I'm good 11 months out of the year, but on Valentine in February, there better be someone in my life.
I did. Honestly.
But think about, and we were laughing, but I mean, this is real world. How many women have been out there, writing that vision, right? That vision board, cutting out the picture, journaling, fleecing God, doing whatever. And then let's talk about this. You're putting this out there. You're affirming, you're believing Mr. or Mrs. Wonderful is going to show up in my life. And then February comes and there's no one there.
Absolutely.
How did you handle that?
I would be so let down. I'll be honest with you. It affected my mentality for that whole month, sometime beyond, but it would affect me in such a negative way because here I am again. Of course, the self-pity, the suffering mindset was there big time. And I would be like, here I am again. No Valentine. Oh, well. And I was always one to make sure I bought my daughter Valentines. I bought my grandkids. I would just it'd be something small, but I would make sure they had it. And I'd be like, oh, well, here I go again. And then back in the same cycle, then thinking about the next holiday and the next holiday, I'm going to have somebody. And many times when I did have somebody, it wasn't the right somebody anyway. So even that didn't necessarily work. But this particular holiday, Valentine's Day, that meant so much because I was so sure I would see all these quote unquote loving couples, out and about, people talking about what they're doing with their Valentine that night. And I would be in such a depressed and suffering state. And I carried that state with me throughout other months. And because it was the same cycle, here we come back around to Valentine. Oh no, I'm believing I'm gonna have somebody. And yes, LaWanna, I did pray about it. I didn't make affirmations about it, but I did. Lord, I thank you for my good man. I thank you for my good man. So I'm gonna have a man for Christmas and Valentine's. That was two important ones. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So I had to actually step back and look inside of myself to see what I needed to change about my love of myself before I even moved forward.
Yeah, I want us definitely to get into that self-assessment. And before you get even to a self-assessment, you have to be self-aware, right? And then start to unpackage that. But when you were sharing that, I hadn't thought about this in years. So this is after my divorce, my first, I guess, official relationship. And it was our first Valentine's. And I'm expecting, oh gosh, this is going to be amazing, because up until that point, the relationship had been wonderful. And he called me and I'm like, so what? I kept trying to hint around, you didn't want to just be so in the person's face. What are we doing for Valentine's? But I would just kind of hint, and he wasn't biting. And I thought, okay, what's going on here? So finally, the day before, I said, you haven't mentioned anything. And of course you want to make it sound like, my schedule's really, really full. And I want to make sure that whatever time, so I took the assumptive approach, whatever time we're going to get together, that I can sync my calendar accordingly. So I didn't want to appear desperate. And he looked at me and he said, oh, you thought we were going to do Valentine's today together? And I'm thinking, yeah. And he said, oh no, I already have plans. And he goes, oh, I'm not dating anyone, if that's what you're thinking. I'm like, well, okay, what kind of plans do you have? And he was in the celebrity ranks. And he said, oh, well, Fantasia, the singer, the American Idol person, is in town, and I'm taking her to dinner. And I felt so small, so unworthy. And I thought, are you really? I mean, it wasn't like, okay, I know you're not dating this person. I know it's all part of what you're doing with business, but why couldn't you bring me along? But it was, it was like, no, this is what I'm doing. And then what added insult to injury, I'm at home all by myself. So we all have ways of pacifying ourselves. And for me, it's pizza and Betty Davis movies. So I'm sitting there watching Now Voyager, Betty Davis, and eating my pizza. And he's sending me photos of he and Fantasia and this other group at this wonderful restaurant enjoying, again, it was still Valentine's Day.
Oh.
And and when afterwards, when I was trying to talk to him about either he didn't get it or he didn't care to get it, but he was thinking, he's like, really, you're making a big deal over one day. It was Valentine's Day. He's like, LaWanna, we go out all the time. But again, it gets into that mindset, right? I was conditioned that, yeah, but it's Valentine's Day and this is what we're supposed to do. But that wasn't how my Valentine's Day unfolded. We're going to be right back, and we're going to unpackage that as Connie stated, and figure out what can you do when you get that little gut check.
Wow, that was the story, LaWanna. Oh my goodness. I was trying not to say what, but that had to, I can't imagine the emotions that went along with that. And as you said right before we went to break, why do we put so much pressure on ourselves surrounding this day, and pressure on our mates if we have them? Why do we put so much pressure on us? And I get it. It's commercialized. I get that. I think Valentine stuff was already out right after Christmas. So I get it. We commercialize it. The commercials for Jared and whoever else, all the jewelry commercials now are all focused toward Valentine's Day. But why do we individually put so much pressure on ourselves surrounding this day, especially women? Why?
I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, self-worth and the feeling of being worthy. If I feel that my value is dependent on someone else's acceptance, someone else showing up in a certain way and loving me in a certain way, then it puts me at risk of disappointment and mental anguish, and even questioning, where I stand. But when we can somehow strip ourselves of expectations of others and just say, okay, who am I? Obviously, we all have areas that we want to improve. Okay, well, let me focus on the good. Let me celebrate the good in LaWanna, right? We're not taught to celebrate ourselves. We're really not. If you think about it, when you're part of a team, it's the we thing. But when do we celebrate the me? And why do we feel guilty if we elevate and celebrate ourselves? It's like you're being boastful, right? Why do you want the world to look at you? Well, my question is, why not? Am I not uniquely, divinely made for this appointed time? God chose to shine his light on me. Why shouldn't the world look? Connie.
Absolutely. That right there, that's beautiful. Why not? Why not celebrate ourselves? Why not? And I'm speaking directly to women. Anyone can listen, of course, but women, because we have been put in such a box of what we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do and what traditionally we're supposed to do. One of them is not to celebrate ourselves. One of them is not to, because that's boastful. That's prideful. You think you're all that. There's just so many things we've all heard. You think you're that. Why not say, I am her? I don't only think her, I know I am her. Why not start celebrating that? But that is because of, again, family norms, societal norms, things that have been pushed into us women since we were small, that we could not be big. Why can't we fill a space? Why can't we do that? And that really starts with loving who we are as we are, without changes, without the quote unquote perfection, without what society says is right. Loving me for me just as I am, imperfect, whatever, loving me for me. And that is something I believe we as more mature women, first of all, we got to grasp it, right? So we may have to unpack. We got to unpack a lot to grasp that we can start teaching it to the younger woman so it can go throughout generations of women. And when my little 1-year-old granddaughter, when she's this age, it will not even be an issue. She will have loved herself her whole life. She will not have doubted who she is her whole life, because part of that is really doubting who we are, not living, not even knowing who we are, being afraid to investigate who we are, being afraid to be. Many of us, I know me for one, did not feel she had a voice. I was afraid to be. I did not love this woman as she is. Yes, we can all perfect different things we want to. I'm not going to talk anything against self-perfection, be it surgical, whatever. That is not, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But do we love that person before there are any enhancements? Because if we don't, we can't love her with them. That.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I just want to say that again. If we can't love the person that we see before the enhancements, can we really love her after? Because the enhancements never make you, right? It's the shell. I mean, this here is the shell. So who am I? And I know when I do some of my consulting and I'm talking to small business owners, before they talk about the mission of their business, I want to understand the mind behind it, the visionary behind it. And I'll ask them, who are you? And invariably, Connie, most people will start describing the titles they have and what they do. And I'm like, okay, that's who you are. I'm gonna convert this a little bit because we're about to be in Super Bowl, right? And so you look at Super Bowl players, and it's kind of a similar situation. Yes, ladies, I'm bringing in Super Bowl intentionally because these individuals have been groomed and conditioned just like we have as women, as we go through our different societal norms. They've been groomed and conditioned to be the ball. And in their mind, that's what they think. They put their whole identity to how they show up, their performance and everything. And when their career is over, then suddenly they're at a loss. When that uniform is hung up, they're at a loss because they've lost their identity in their doing, in their being, in their purpose. Your purpose is never who you are. It's the expression of why you're here. And sometimes it takes a while to unpackage and uncover who we are. Sometimes finding your purpose really helps you to identify, like you said, I didn't have a voice. Well, now you do. And it's getting louder and louder. And because of that, the purpose that you have with Beauty Beyond the Walls is starting to amplify more. And it's starting to touch women from around the world. So I use that football analogy just to show that that's a very simple analogy that I think we can all relate to taking that child in Pee Wee League, grooming him all the way up to now he's in the NFL. And then he has 2 or 3 years, the average time. And then he doesn't know what to do with himself because there was no other identity. And I believe we have a responsibility. And I want to turn it to you because you're not only a mother, but a grandmother. I believe we have a responsibility as nurturers and care providers and parents to allow our children, I love the term you use, take up space, to occupy, to dominate where you land, and to do so unapologetically. Connie.
Yes, to take up space, to be big. When you were saying that, I wanted to just go like this, to be big. I wanted to expand, be expansive, because that is so important to take up the space in whatever room you're in. They need to know you are there, that you are confidently, unapologetically, authentically in that space. And you're there to do whatever it is your job is to do there. But back to where the kids in football, my youngest grandson, he is an athletic phenom, not just in football. I hear that he's pretty nice in basketball too. I haven't seen him play yet. This is the first time he's ever played. He was very good in soccer at 3 years old. He's one of those kids, and he is a competitor in school too. The people need not think he's just athletic. He is a competitor, and he's a great test taker, great comprehender. So those are things I want to build in him, that wherever he ends up, wherever he lands, that he is still himself and he is taking up that space, knowing who he is. But going back to, you brought the football analogy, I'm going to bring the mother analogy. My identity was in being a mother when my daughter was younger. That's what my identity was. I felt like that was who I was. And so when my daughter graduated high school and she moved on campus, I felt lost. It was really bad. I was just deflated. Like, okay, what do I do now? I don't have any more track meets to go to. I wasn't thinking about who Constance was. I was just thinking about what she did, what the expectation was. You are a good mother. You be a mother. So I had to really, and at that point in life, I didn't even know how to get out of that. So I started doing other things. I was really focusing. I think I worked more hours than what I should have at that point, because it just kept me busy. It kept my mind busy because I no longer had my daughter's things to go to take her to meet her at. And I saw her at the university because she was right here at the U of A, but still it wasn't the same, because then she was becoming the woman and she was no longer that child. So I felt lost. I didn't know how to love me. I think I went through so many different phases during that time. One point I blew up, I got gigantic. Another time I was working out. It was all emotional stuff for me because I didn't know how to take control of those emotions. I didn't know where they were coming from. I didn't know they had directly to do with, Constance, you don't love yourself. You don't love who this woman is. This woman that I believe in God. This woman that God created perfect. He made the perfect creation. God doesn't make anything imperfect. We are the ones that tear down that perfection. We are the ones through, and I'm not saying just us individually, I'm saying through society, through upbringing, through generations, we have torn down what was meant to be a perfect creation. So here we are living in it now. So we've got to find a way to get back to loving ourselves authentically, as we were meant to love ourselves. We need to learn how to celebrate our differences authentically. And on this month of February, this Valentine's Day, if you don't have a Valentine, if you're not planning on doing something, maybe just sit back and watch movies and eat pizza. Sit back, but watch movies you love, eat pizza and enjoy it. Or maybe you want to go out yourself. You don't have to go out on the day because that tends to be very busy. Maybe sometime surrounding that day, take yourself out. Get a manicure, get a pedicure, get your hair done, get your eyebrows done, maybe your lashes if you're into that. Just something that shows yourself outwardly. I love this woman. I'm going to give her a little bit of enhancement. I love her. What do you think about that, LaWanna?
I love everything that you said, and I can't believe we are almost out of time. So, Connie, I'm going to let you give 3 tips to ladies out there who might be hearing us and have chuckled about some of our stories, but are saying, but I hear you, Connie, but you really don't get it. I mean, I'm stressing out. We're in countdown now, and I want to feel loved by someone. I want some special person to give me those flowers. I want to show off that I am not alone. So I'm going to let you take about 5 minutes and let's give these women some things to hold on to before we close out.
Let's see what we can do. So we can talk about our self-love. Absolutely. And I'll start by going a little bit into my journey. I did not love Constance, Connie. I didn't love her. I didn't think she was worthy. So I think the first thing I would tell you to do is we got to do some introspection and see why we feel the way we do about ourselves, why we feel that way about ourselves. It can be painful to start digging in there and to see why we feel that way. But the first thing is introspection. We have to look inside to see why and unpack. Another thing, once we look in there, we unpack. One thing that I do talk about is cleaning out the rooms of your mind. Going deep, sometimes just sitting quietly and going deep. Why am I feeling this way? I have coined the term taking a thought break, because it really all has to do with our mindset, right? Our mindset surrounding ourselves. So taking a thought break, thinking, why do I feel this way about me? Why am I feeling this way in this very moment about the pending Valentine Day? And why am I feeling so stressed or down or whatever I might feel around that day? Unworthy, unloved. We're talking about love. Why am I feeling that way? So the first thing, introspection. Realize, first of all, that you have to realize first that I have this issue. I'm not thinking right about myself. Introspection, taking that thought break, going deep into some of our thought patterns, cleaning that out, getting rid of the negative and stereotypical things that we think about ourselves all the time, getting rid of that, and then bringing in the love. So you asked me, how do you bring in self-love? Then how do you do that? I can tell you how I did it. Affirmations, self-affirmations. is one way that I started filling my mind with who I really am. I started filling my mind with the idea, Constance, you are enough just as you are. I started feeling that. So I started affirming myself. If no one else did, and I can tell you 9 times out of 10, no one else did, Connie, affirmed her own self. I am love. I am the beauty that this world needs. I am brilliant. I am opulent. And you know, that sounds crazy when you have never said it to yourself. And you're just saying it over and over again. And you are saying, nothing's happening. Maybe the first few days or whatever, nothing is going to happen. Maybe you really don't believe it. But the more you hear something and the more you get it in your spirit, in your mind, it comes out your mouth, it goes in your ears. You are going to become that. When that starts happening, you're going to notice the transformation, as well as those that you love and respect. They're going to notice it too. In my life, one of the first people to notice my transformation was my daughter. She noticed, she could tell by my whole body language, my mindset, my speech. Another thing we can do is surround ourselves with like-minded women. Like-minded people who love themselves. I'm not talking arrogance. I'm talking about genuine self-love. Surround yourself with those people. And also, then you can start giving out that same love that you brought to yourself. You can start speaking it out to others around you. And they will notice your change. It will also help other people to change themselves, to start seeing, wow, what has happened to so-and-so? Her whole aura has changed. Your vibration will change. Your energy will change. Remember earlier I said when you walk in a room, fill that room up. You will fill, that room will be filled with your presence the minute you step in there. With your energy, your vibration, you will feel more love because you're giving yourself love. And the small physical things I spoke about, buy yourself flowers. Take yourself out to eat. Take yourself to the spa. Make sure every single day you do something especially for you. Many of us are servers. We serve. And that's part of the reason we're here on this earth, to serve one another. Many of us overdo it. Another tip, learn the power of no. If you feel yourself being depleted, you know you have to refill. Learn to say no unapologetically. Learn to say no authentically. I can't do this right now because I've got to take care of me. None of us can pour out of an empty cup. Let's fill our cup with the love that we deserve. So we can spill love, we can pour love, we can drip love. People will see the love that we have for ourselves and they will be attracted to that. Thank you so much, LaWanna. Thank you.
This has been great. I love it. I love the tips that you gave the women and how you ended it by, we can't pour from an empty cup. And we find ourselves being depleted when we try to do that. But when we love ourselves enough to open our arms and receive all the goodness and fill ourselves up with that juiciness, then we can go out and be bold, unapologetic in our actions, spread love, joy, make the impact and influence that we want, not only for ourselves, our families, our community, and the world. And it all starts with self-love, right, Connie?
Yes, it does. All with self-love. And let me tell you, when you start loving you, there is nothing that will stop you from doing what you were placed on this earth to do.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for another edition of Choose to Challenge. If you've liked this episode, we ask that you continue to follow us on E360 TV, which is our home base. If you're catching us on anything social media, share the love, share this out. Follow Connie and me on social media. We're easy to find, Constance Wills or LaWanna Bradford. If you want to be a guest on the show, information is below. Send us an email, and we would love to have you as part of the Mindset Alchemy discussion, which comes to you every first Monday of the month at 6 p.m. Eastern on E360 TV. Connie, Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, LaWanna. Thank you so much. We're going to have a wonderful Valentine's Day this year because we love ourselves.
Yes, yes. Everyone be safe, be well, and remember to love yourself, embrace yourself, and whatever you do, always celebrate you. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Are you ready to defy gravity and challenge the impossible? Meet LaWanna Bradford, the visionary leader behind Choose to Challenge on E360 TV. Now in its 5th season, this groundbreaking show shines a spotlight on voices of change from across the globe. Born during the pandemic, Choose to Challenge becomes a platform for transformation where no topic is off limits. Every episode highlights individuals breaking barriers, rewriting narratives, and making an impact. Ready to share your story and inspire change? Call 404-618-2824 to become a guest. This is your moment to rise. Tune in now at e360tv.com. Your voice matters. Let's change the world together.